Hello, I'm Svitek, 360 Creative Coach. And in this episode, I want to talk about an idea that I've kind of skirted around in the past, but it never really hit me until just recently, kind of to say it succinctly, which is that the driving force of capitalism is focusing on what you don't have rather than what you do have. And this episode, I really want to encourage you to flip that. Now, before I fully get into, why I think this and so forth, I would like to take the opportunity to invite you to subscribe. That way you get all the various lessons and episodes that I put out right when I put them out. Thank you if you just did, and thank you if you already were. It truly does mean a lot to me, as I hope it does to you. So this notion, capitalism really thrives on more, right? Here's all it, there's a new phone that you don't have. There's a bigger house that you don't own. All this stuff, right? You want to be healthy? Here's some vitamins. Here's, blah, blah, blah. And, that's really kind of what it comes down to, is this idea of making you feel ultimately inadequate. It messes with your mind in that sense of if I don't have the latest smartphone, then, am I lesser than? Someone's got the latest Mac and I don't. Can I still do what I'm doing? Oftentimes, in terms of our creativity, right, meaning our passions and what we're the art that we're trying to put into the world, we often prevent ourselves based on this notion of I don't have the latest camera gear, so therefore I can't do it. And we just got to get away from that. As artists and as people, right? From an artist, and the reason I said at the top that I've skirted around this idea is because, for artists, I talk about instead of defining yourself based on what you don't have, define yourself based on what you do have. And think about what resources at your disposal and go do it, and then, more will come based on that. But just stop thinking you don't have X, Y, and Z because, you do have a lot. And so when it comes to the idea of our lives, expanding that notion into our lives, we really got to become more grateful and better at being grateful based on what we have in our lives. Because just as Americans, pure and simple, we have quite a lot that many other people in the world do not. I mean, hell, look no further than Afghanistan and what's going on there, right? So we have to get better at appreciating what we do have, and in that sense, just understand that pure notion that you don't need more. It's a simple phrase that many people kind of point to of you are enough. And you are enough, A, and B, you do have enough overall, right? And listen, I'm not saying in the day-to-day stuff of necessities and so forth, if you're really in a bad bind, I get that. But a lot of us tend to, we get this itch of the new PS5 comes out and we're like, ooh, I gotta get the PS5, right? And really it's this marketing that works on us. And I've talked to friends, they'll see a commercial for a fast food joint, damn, it worked on me. I really want to go eat there now, right? That's how this advertising is sophisticated in that way. It does work on us and it does affect us. But part of the solution, right? Because ultimately, capitalism is fueled by this idea of money, right? So they're trying to give you something, they're trying to create this desire so that way you give them money. So the way to combat that is, again, just this idea that you already have enough and really kind of looking at it, instead of focusing on what you don't have, focus on what you do have. And the other part of that is, prioritizing what actually does matter to you. So the money that you are going to spend it in alignment with your values. Don't just spend needlessly on stuff that you don't actually want just because the marketing's there. Spend your money based on what actually brings meaning to you. So sit down and if you're a car guy, fine. Okay, how are you going to budget the idea that, you're going to go have a nice car or go see cars or whatever the case may be. For me, let's say if I was really into sports more, like soccer specifically, more so than I am. It's like, okay, maybe I would, what are the TV packages that I'm willing to spring for so I can watch soccer? If let's assume that like I can go to, like games are more available because of COVID, like COVID not being a thing, then it's like, okay, what games can I go to, and can I travel to see some of these games, right? So if I'm going to spend my money, spend it in alignment with what I want, right? So these two ideas working in tandem. In fact, there's a great book by my friend Chelsea Galicia called Save Yourself. SAVE being an acronym for spend in alignment with your values, not your ego. So that's a great book to check out in terms of the second thing that I'm talking about. But primarily, just shift that thinking into, instead of thinking what you don't have, just be like, you know what? Look at what I do have. And let's switch that, And I'm not someone that thinks like capitalism on the at face value is a negative thing. But the idea that like there's ultimate resources and like more is the solution, that's what got us here point blank in terms of climate change. Just overspending overutilizing our resources and so forth. Let's not do that. Anyway, that's my message. If you have any questions or thoughts of your own, please share down in the comment section or hit me up on social media at Svitek. Would love to chat with you. Listen, you might disagree wholeheartedly with me. That's okay. As long as you're respectful, I am willing to hear you out and engage in a conversation. So thank you. I appreciate you. I hope to see you next time.